Hello. Hello again, everybody. Zach Attack is here with my TNA Impact Wrestling review for this Thursday night, June the 12th, 2014. Of course, the final Impact before Slammiversary. A lot of matches made for Slammiversary tonight. We head towards that pay-per-view this Sunday. Of course, we all know the story involving MVP and his status. He got injured. This is what happens when TNA tapes are Impacts way far in advance. And then by the time they air, especially before a pay-per-view, something happens. Now, MVP said in an interview I think he said on a podcast recently, that he is still scheduled to fight Eric Young this Sunday at Slammiversary. There is a plan B in place. We'll see if it is plan A or plan B. But no matter what plan is, Slammiversary go on without a hitch. Any more hitches. There's a decent Impact tonight. A little silliness adding on. Hey, it's TNA for you. So, if they go with plan A, we'll see what happens there, especially with how we started off Impact tonight with EY calling out the cronies, calling out MVP and his clique. They have no real name. They need a team name. Every good faction has a team name. I think I said it a few weeks ago in one of my reviews that the clique should be called MPR. Money, Power, and Respect. Because MVP said that a lot in his speech. So MVP said, this Sunday at Slammiversary, I'm going to beat you up bad. This time. For Slammiversary. Going to beat you for the title. Bring it on, boy. And Eric's like, well, I know when I face you, it may not only face you. You're going to have your cronies involved. And get themselves involved and get me screwed. So EY's like, I want to name my stipulation. And MVP's like, okay. But to get that stipulation named, you got to fight 3 of us. But then Kenny's like, no, make it 2. So Eric had to fight basically in a best 2 out of 3 series. He had to beat 2 out of 3 of MVP's clique to successfully get, or lobby, should I say, that stipulation to be named for the match at Slammiversary for the TNA whatever championship. And the first obstacle for Mr. Young was Bobby Lashley. Lashley, it's weird. I said it a few weeks ago. It's still weird to see Lashley as a heel. But nonetheless, he's trying to make it work. He hasn't talked. But when you have MVP as a mouthpiece, you don't need much talk. And Kenny King's a bigger mouthpiece as well. So Lashley hasn't spoken much. He mostly leaves the speaking to MVP and Kenny and leave the actions to him in the ring to speak for him. Which is exactly what they did. In his okay little matchup to begin Impact as domination is the key word for Lashley in this matchup. Is he just brutally dominated over Mr. Young with some big power moves. There was one move that kind of sent Eric Young, pun the pun, way over the top, literally, as he landed straight on his back, and Lashley just fed on it like a target, weakening that back big time. Despite Eric Young trying to come back and trying to possibly nail that big elbow move and big moves off the top rope, Lashley really went out when it comes to the power contest, as would overpower Mr. Young with the Dominator and the 1-2-3 victory for Lashley. So that means Mr. Young is 0-1. But just as Lashley put the beat down on Eric Young's Samoa, here comes Samoa Joe to make the save. Of course, these two will face off at Slammiversary. These two being Lashley and Joe. See how that goes. Seeing Joe back in there and everything. See how he does against Lashley. Speaking of matches at Slammiversary, I think we should know this match is going to be made. Willow / Jeff Hardy will take on Magnus this Sunday at Slammiversary. But we all know now that Magnus and his friend Bram are now on the same page when it comes to Magnus finding his aggressive side again, especially after what he did to Willow doing Bram's match against Willow last. I thought it'd be like some sort of handicap match or a tag team match involving Willow and a partner against Bram and Magnus. What kind of is a tag team match? Not exactly. Because Bram will be in Magnus's corner. And Willow's like, I'm going to have someone else in my corner. And it looked like it was going to be like himself and himself. Because he mentioned Jeff Hardy and Willow the same person. Like, then we will beat you. We shall win over you. And everyone was like, who's the we? You and Willow, Harley and Willow are the same person. And Harley/Willow's like, we meaning me and the man in my corner, the Monster Abyss. We haven't seen Abyss ever since he chased out Magnus. That made Magnus kind of cowered out, and we saw Abyss come out and just beat the crap out of both of Magnus and Bram. I was wondering if Magnus and Abyss's feud was going to continue on. I was talking with a friend today, and he's like, we haven't seen Abyss in a while. And I think Abyss has looked weak ever since he came back after getting rid of Joseph Park. You know, signing with Magnus, then turning on him. We haven't seen him since he chased Magnus out of the Impact Zone following Abyss getting his job back and officially disassociating himself with Magnus. And I thought it'd be a longer feud, but now the feud may go on, especially now with Abyss officially going to be in the corner of Jeff Hardy this Sunday as he takes on Magnus with Bram in his corner. So there you go. Nice to see Abyss back, even though the booking's been weird for him. Speaking of weird booking, on to our next. Not exact. It was more like an overlong segment match that involved Bobby E seemingly over his favorite clowns, but it didn't seem that way as he took on Nux of the Menagerie. Doesn't Menagerie need to have the fucking theme song playing during every match, or at least attempt at a match they have? Even though it's Los Matadores, the stick's getting old very quickly. Especially every time they try to have a match, there's some sort of fucking shenanigans. And there's a lot of shenanigans during this match. Bobby E did try to wrestle. I'll give Bobby E credit. I bitched at Bobby E for the longest time. But his lack of ability wrestling, he tried to make it a wrestling match. But it was too big of a shenanigan fest with a lot of distractions and bullshit on the outside involving Zima Ion and, of course, Jesse getting involved, getting headbutted by the Freak and all this bullshit outside. Despite that, they try to have some sort of matchup, but end up with Nux overpowering Bobby with the 1-2-3 victory. Like I said, this whole thing with Menagerie, they started off strong, but once they got stupid after the whole Cass situation, they lost their legitimacy. And no one like people started like the crowd following, but I'm just not liking them because everything's just stupid and overblown. Especially they don't wrestle; they just fucking goof off. And they need a theme song to play during every match. Come on, man. Especially with the Battle of the Horns again this week with the from DJ Z, of course, against the squeaky bike horn of Crazy Steve, the Freak. Or just Crazy Steve. He should be nicknamed Crazy Steve the Freak. It's not just two separate people, Crazy Steve and the Freak. He is Crazy Steve the Freak. He is a freaky guy and crazy. He's both. Anyway, this is getting stupid with the Menagerie. The booking's kind of stupid with them. So there you go. Nux get the victory in this loopy matchup, to say the least. Now, of course, I thought it'd be some sort of match involving Menagerie and poor man's at the pay-per-view, but now that we know that Bobby E is going to be, he is on the Amazing Race. Who knows what maybe they'll have like some sort of tag match involving Nux and Steve or the Freak against Jesse and Zima, at least to keep this feud going while Bobby E's doing the Amazing Race. With his real-life girlfriend who returned to Impact tonight for the first time in months, Brooke Tessmacher. She was involved in some sort of stupid interview segment, some little stupid segment involving EC3. trying to get some sort of secret out of Brooke to kind of get at and get revenge at and expose Mr. Bully Ray. Now, Bully Ray and Brooke were, of course, boyfriend and girlfriend at one point during the Aces and Eights days last year. And EC3 was like, okay, Brooke, you and Bully Ray were boyfriend and girlfriend, right? Yes. Did he cheat on you? No. Like, they're trying to get at Brooke and trying to say that Bully Ray's the father of the baby. And had some sort of picture of a baby on the board. And Brooke denied anything. They were just using her to try to get at Bully Ray. Well, they got at him. Bully Ray got out to the ring. Wanted to beat up on EC3 and Rockstar, but they sputtered out to avoid it, to get out of Dodge, basically. They did. And Bully's like, I want to get my hands on you two little bozos. And I'm still going to put you through a table, EC3. I put Spud through a table. That's right. He's got that neck brace on still, selling that injury. And also selling the injuries from the beat down at Dixie's house. And then Bully Ray said, Brooke, sorry, we didn't end up well, but I wish you the best. And then EC3's like, enough with the love fest. Making me puke. You say you want to put me through a table? Let's put it to the test. I want to challenge you to a tables match. And Bully Ray is like, he wants to put Dixie over a table through his dead body. Over your dead body. Over your dead body. So Bully Ray is like, I'm going to challenge your challenge with another challenge. A Texas death match. And Slammiversary is in Texas after all. That challenge was accepted. So there you go. Texas death match, which means like they got to beat each other so bad. It's like they cannot get up to like a count. Like some violent matchup. I've seen these matches before. It's very violent and brutal. Especially the TNA is TV-14. And sometimes TV-14 is sometimes a good thing. In TNA's case, it's a bad thing because it's like it's not. Been saying about TNA. I like watching TNA, but it's like starting to be unfun to watch, you know. It's like a drug with them. So there you go. But I bet you Dixie will get involved. And maybe she'll go through that table. She will be at Slammiversary. Because she wants revenge on both Bully Ray and more specifically revenge on EC3's beat-upper from last week, referring to MVP. Beating up on EC3 following him losing the 6-man, the 8-man First Blood tag match last week. He got beat down by MVP's Click. And Dixie wants revenge. And she was in a meeting. And she's like, revenge is a dish best served cold, as she tweeted. See you at Slammiversary. So revenge will be served in cold to both Bully and MVP in Fort Worth, Texas this Sunday. On to the next matchup. EY still hurting from his back injury suffered during his first match of the night as he ran the gauntlet in this best 2 out of 3 series to get himself a stipulation named for his match against MVP and Slammiversary. He lost to Bobby Lashley and a back injury suffered. Despite that, and 0-1, like I said, he would end up in the second match against Kenny King, who will be taking on Austin Aries this Sunday at Slammiversary. So, of course, Kenny King knew that Eric Young's back would be the main target in this matchup. And boy, was it ever. Really focusing on their back with big power moves, and big suplex moves, and really just nailing Young and just weakening that back in another okay little matchup between these two fellas. They're kind of the same weight. And I like Kenny King when he first came in, you know, and it's kind of weird to see him in line with MVP. But it was all set up. Like anything with him and MVP's problems when Kenny King first came back and not being booked on the shelves, I think it was kind of a ploy. Kind of a distraction. Distract from the plans and the scam that MVP was going to pull on everybody. With this click and everything. But despite Kenny King weakening Eric Young's back, of course, his cockiness got the best of him. He had Eric Young beat a few times from some big nasty kicks and moves to the back. But his cockiness and his reluctance to get the easy pin when Eric Young was down and wasting time cost him. He tried for a big flying move, but Eric Young got out in time because Kenny King was too busy showboating. So Eric Young came flying back, some big moves, before nailing the final move on Mr. King being the pile driver in the 1-2-3 victory for Eric Young, winning his first match out of 2. So that means he would face off against MVP tonight to make sure he gets a stipulation named at the pay-per-view. Now, I had a sneaky feeling there'd be something screwy going on during that main event. And as we shall see, something screwy did go down. And as of course, going to be a little preview for the MVP Eric Young match at Slammiversary for the title, the TNA World title. We don't have a tag team title match at Slammiversary, but we will have a Knockouts title match at Slammiversary. Angelina will defend. But against who, we wonder? We would answer that with a triple threat Knockouts match involving Madison Rayne taking on Brittany and Gail Kim. Now, I knew there'd be some sort of situation involving Madison and Brittany, especially after their little scenarios in the last couple weeks with the little lesbian innuendos 2 weeks ago. Brittany being told not to do anything and basically just stood by and watched Madison get sprayed in the eyes by Velvet during her rematch last week for the title. So I knew there'd be some sort of scenario between these two in the matchup. They tried to, like Brittany was trying to get Madison to help and double team on Gail, making a 2-on-1 situation. But as Gail overpowered both, we would have company, as both Velvet and Angelina would watch the proceedings go down to see who would face Angie at Slammiversary. They were basically wanting Brittany to face Miss Sky's partner, Miss Love, because Miss Love and Miss Sky knew that Brittany is an easy target, that she's an easier person to beat, because they knew Madison or Gail would be more competition and more of a threat, basically ducking like they've been doing for the last couple of weeks. And I kind of called this. I knew there'd be some sort of situation where Madison or Brittany would weaken Gail, and one of them would pin Gail to get the number one contendership, and the other would block the other from doing it. And that's what happened. Brittany got the pin on Gail after Gail got weakened by both Madison and Miss Brittany. We saw some double moves, like double submission at one point on Gail, and a double suplex. And that's when Brittany got the pin until Madison broke it up. I knew these two were going to get it on. And Brittany knocked Madison out of the ring and basically out of the match. So then here comes the beautiful people to get involved, distracting the referee. And since they wanted Brittany to win, they're trying to help Brittany. But unfortunately, as Madison was still down, Velvet was on the apron, with referee distracted by Angelina. She was ready to spray Gail in the eyes. But then Gail ducked it and Brittany got sprayed with the hairspray. The same spray that she saw Madison get sprayed with last week, and she did nothing. But instead of getting the championship match, Brittany, while still eating the spray in the eyes, she ended up eating defeat in the 1-2-3 victory for Gail Kim, who also nailed the figure 4 leg work on the ring post on Brittany at some point during the match as well. But the spray and the eat defeat, and Gail Kim, and I predicted this on my Attack Sports today on my TNA Impact preview, that I knew, and I've been predicting it for weeks, that Gail was going to get a shot at Angelina at the pay-per-view. And this is how she got it. This is how she got a match against Angelina at the pay-per-view. And it will go down this Sunday for that Knockouts Championship. We'll see if Angie will retain with a little help from a friend and a can of hairspray. That's what I'm thinking. I would love to see Gail as champ again, but the hairspray will go down in being the be-all, end-all result of causing the finish. Now on to our main event. MVP against Eric Young. Now I said it, that there would be something screwy. Ended up being that. So we said that MVP said to the referee, we've been seeing his little interactions lately with Brian Happen, the referee, saying to him that no one shall interfere when the bell rings. Like when the bell rings, no one interferes. How can MVP likes finding a loophole? How's he going to find a loophole? Oh, I know. Send down his two cronies to beat down Eric Young before the bell rings. Brilliance! Sheer screwy brilliance for MVP. That's exactly what happened. They beat down EY before the match, drugged him in, they ran away just as the bell rung. So EY, having battled 2 matches already, into his 3rd, and still battling his back injury, and getting beat down before the match by MVP's cronies, Lashley and Kenny King. It looked like it was going to be easy pickings for MVP. Really, once again, talking to EY's back, and the fact he got his ass beat early in the evening. So there you go. And he despite all the punishment that MVP was giving to EY was not giving up easily. He kicked out every time that MVP had him in a pinning predicament. And MVP was just brawling and just nailing every move on EY. Just really dominating on him. But MVP knew, despite all the punishment he was giving to EY, he couldn't beat him by himself on his own. So, MVP grabbed the steel chair. He sat on it first. He's like, EY, don't get up. But despite everything, MVP ended up nailing EY with that steel chair, causing the disqualification. I knew it. Screwy finish. But with this screwy finish, EY actually won. He won by DQ. But a win's a win. So EY, despite the DQ win, he took it as his 2nd win out of his 3 matches. So he won the best 2 out of 3, which meant he was able to pick a stipulation for his match at Slammiversary. But we saw blood dripping down his back, and he got the triple beat down from MVP, Kenny, and Lashley following the matchup with the chair. And then, of course, after they left, EY grabbed the mic, and he's like, even though it doesn't look like it right now that I won. That was kind of funny, though. Let's see that he admitted it. Like, even though it looked like a winner, I did win. That means I'm able to pick my stipulation. And it's going to be a steel cage match. Now, that's what's going to happen if MVP can make it to Slammiversary. Like I said in the beginning of the video, MVP is injured. Before the pay-per-view, he injured himself in a match in Europe. So that's how we ended it with EY, despite battered and bruised, ready for the steel cage match this Sunday at Slammiversary. On a side note, Eric Young mentioned, of course, his new show, No Limits. Cheap plug. Great show, by the way. I've been watching the first 2 weeks. Very fun show involving EY doing all these crazy stunts with crazy people in these crazy places. He did ostrich racing. He participated in a chainsaw competition. Fun show. It's on the Animal Planet every Friday night at 8 o'clock. The back-to-back half-hour shows. Like I said, on Animal Planet. Cheap plug, but I love that show. It's fun. It shows you a different side of EY. It shows you the side of EY outside the ring. That's why I like it a lot. And then he's a crazy guy in the ring. I mean, he's a crazy guy out of the ring as he is in the ring. But he's a cool guy, too. That's why I like No Limits. But it's going to be sad that No Limits will get more ratings than TNA ever will. Hey, if Total Divas can outweigh TNA, sadly, Eric Young Show can outweigh TNA. But TNA try to wait themselves as they get prepared for the Slammiversary this Sunday. Now, here are the matches named for Slammiversary. We got a new matchup. I told you there is no tag team title match. But we will see an X Division title match. In a ladder match for the championship. The champion, Sonata, will defend against Crazy Steve. There is no match with Jesse. Tigre Uno. Manic's back? Wow. Manic's back. Interesting to see Manic back. And we shall see both Wolves. Davey and Eddie going for singles gold. They're both tag team gold. So it's kind of weird to see him in this matchup with Manic/Suicide in it, former X Division champion. And of course, both members of MVP's cliques will be in singles action. Lastly, takes on Samoa Joe and A-Dub. Austin Aries takes on Kenny King. We're also going to have James Storm against Anderson. That feud's building up, especially after last week with Anderson making fun of Storm. That should be an interesting matchup. I love the match on Impact a few weeks ago. See what happens in this match. We're also going to have MVP EY for the TNA title. Of course, Steel Cage. Gail Kim against Angelina Love for the Knockouts title. We're going to have, of course, Magnus taking on Willow/Jeff Hardy. Magnus will have Bram in his corner. And Jeff Hardy Willow will have Abyss in his corner. We're also going to have appearances from the world-famous Von Erich family. Kevin Von Erich and his grandchildren or children. A new tag team making their TNA debut. And Kurt Angle, despite injury, will name the third TNA Hall of Famer. I mean, it might be like James Storm or Wood. We haven't seen Wood in a while. He's suspended, but we'll see who does get the third induction into the TNA Hall of Fame. I can't believe there is a Hall of Fame in TNA. But that will go down at Slammiversary this Sunday in Texas. And I think the Cowboys are going to show up. And they're probably like, we can at least fill up a stadium at our games. You couldn't even get 300 people in a baseball stadium. A minor league one at that. So I had to make that joke about the photos that circulate about TNA having a baseball event in a baseball stadium. They call it baseball events. Having events in a baseball stadium and 300 people showing up. Anyway, that is it for my review. Thank you all very much for watching it. With that in mind, y'all been attacked by the review from Zach. Have a great weekend, everybody. Happy Father's Day weekend, everybody, and all the dads out there. Especially mine, my DJ Wody. See ya! Yeah.